Kakadosh, Poker Or. We wanted to, we're going to start Beki'im Bahalacha 6, day 74. Anu Siman, Kuf Samech Bet. Are you listening? Kuf Samech Bet, 162, page 181. Halacha Aleph, okay? What about doing the Tilat Yadayim in stages? What does that mean, stages? Meaning you didn't do it in one shot, you're going to do it in stages. So we're going to start. Yeah, if someone pours water over a portion of his hand, dries it, and then pours water over the rest of his hand. Yeah. Again, he pours the water on part of his hand, dries it, and then he's going to come and he's going to how do you call it? To pour it on the rest of the hand. So therefore, he hasn't purified it at all. It's not possible to purify a hand in stages, as described here. He must now pour water again over the entire hand to purify it. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah. Yeah, this is the Mishnah Berurah, the footnote. 1 second. He says like this. Yeah, this is Maran's ruling of the Shulchan Aruch. The Mishnah Berurah explained that our sages disqualify the smell in Netilat Yadayim. It is not the normal way of purifying the hands. Harav Zalman and the Kaf HaChaim Sofer added that this is halacha even if the person poured an entire revi'it over the portion of the hand and then dried it. Why? Because what does a revi'it help if you didn't do the basics of what you're supposed to be doing? Yeah, you're listening. Yeah, one more time, right? The concept is that if a person, right, that's the problem that you're tasting and you're not learning. Yeah, one more time. Yeah, he says if a person is going to come and they're going to put a revi'it, but they put it on the wrong part of the hand, or they didn't do the entire hand. So what do I care if you have a revi'it or 10 revi'ot? At the end of the day, you didn't do anything, right? So now the question is, okay, fine. Is it necessary to dry the hand? So for example, let's say, because remember, we already learned that technically if you did the fingers, you're Yitzeh the Chuvah. So here we're talking about, let's say I did until the knuckles. And then, I could put 10 gallons, but I only did the knuckles. I didn't do anything, right? So what happens? I have to do the entire hand, right? Or minimum the fingers, if you remember, right? Now the question is, do you have to dry it? So it says here, is it necessary to dry the hand? The Mishnah Berurah explained that after pouring water over the second portion of the hand, it's not necessary to dry it in order to purify it properly. It is necessary only to pour more water over the portion of the hand that is dry this time. In the Sharat Tziyun, he said the Ma'amar Mordechai ruling, right, thus, and added that this appears to be the ruling of Maran and Shulchan Aruch, although Rabbeinu Shimshon and Rabbeinu Asher, the Rosh, did not rule decisively about this. The Rambam says clearly it is not necessary to dry the hand before pouring more water on it. The Chazon Ish, however, ruled that it is necessary to dry the hand, right, from the previous partial pourings. He says, look at the Ruchot Rabbeinu. This is against Maran, and obviously the Rishon LeZion agreed, right, that it is not necessary to dry the hands, right, beforehand. The Kaf HaChaim Sofer also likewise explained that the poskim were not concerned with the doubt expressed by the Rabbeinu Shimshon and Rabbeinu Asher. If someone has a practice of pouring water in each hand 3 times, then even if the first pouring did not cover the entire hand, and the person still fulfilled the mitzvah, since he pours 2 more times on the entire hand. So despite this ruling, if someone chooses to be stringent and dry the hand, tavo lav beracha. But it's not an obligation. It's not an obligation, which means, right, tavo lav beracha, it's nice, but it's not an obligation. So one more time, a person came and he did only part of the hand, which means part of the fingers. And now, even it doesn't matter how much he puts on it, he's not Yisrael Chuvah. He has to do it again. He's going to now pour on the entire hand, right, or b'diavad, the entire fingers. But even if he's going to do so, according to the Chazon Ish, right, and according to Rabbeinu Shimshon, Rabbeinu Asher, the Rosh, you would be obligated to come and to dry the hands before. According to the Rambam, you're not obligated to, and that's how Shulchan Aruch is posek. That's how the Rishon LeZion is posek, and that's how the Kaf HaChaim Sofer is posek. So he says, again, if a person wants to be stringent, tavo la beracha, but you're not obligated to. What about if you rinse off the water in stages? So he says like this. He says, as explained above in the footnote to Siman 158:15, it's possible to perform the mitzvah Netilat Yadayim even if someone has only 1 revi'it of water available. He pours from the container onto each hand 2 times. The first time is to purify the hands, and the second time is to purify the water which is remaining in the hands. The rule invalidating Netilat Yadayim performed in stages applies only to the first pouring, whose purpose is to purify the hand. The purpose of the subsequent pouring is to purify the water which is on the hand, but the hand itself has already been purified. So if someone poured water in the first pouring over the entire hand, and then the second time it's only on a portion of the hand, right? And he dried that portion and poured more water over it. He says it is valid since the hand was already purified correctly, right, with the first pouring. It does not matter about the second pouring, that it's going to be in stages. At any rate, exactly. So at any rate, he says, halacha is uncommon today, since we have plenty of water. Usually you come and you put a full ravit over each hand, right, in the first place. Huh? No, there's a lot of water, and if not, you go to the women's washroom. No problem. Yeah, yeah, 100%. Okay, fine. Yeah. So what happens, right? What happens?
Why would we do it like that when in the morning we do four?
Four is according to the gra. You don't need four. Three.
I do four.
Okay, that's gone.
To get rid of it. The same concept is going to get rid of the water that is tameh because of the hand.
So there's a difference between Netilat Yadayim of the morning and Netilat Yadayim of Seudah. Netilat Yadayim of the morning, you need the 3 times or the 4 times according to the gown. Netilat Yadayim of Seudah, technically you only need once, as long as you had the Revit.
Well, you would do...
That's why. So now, what we usually do is that if you don't have a Revit, but usually he says that anyway, you do have a Revit even the first time, right? But usually what we do is then according to Shulchan Aruch, you would do 2. Why would you do 2? The first one to purify the hands, and the second one to get rid of that water, which is things. So he says, since you purified the hands the first time around, so for the second time around, even if it's going to be in stages, it's still good. Why? Because you don't really need it. Yeah.
But if
so
you went to do 3, you would do 4.
No, you wouldn't do 4. You would never do 4 until after that.
You do that one time of water that gets rid of.
You don't need to do 4. According to everybody in Netilat Yadayim Suda, you don't need 4. You need 3 according to the Kabbalah, and you need 3 according to Maran if your hands are dirty. Because the first time around is just to clean the hands, and then the second and third time is to purify, and then the third time is to get rid of that water, right? But never 4. 4 is only Netilat Yadayim of the morning. Because page 182. If someone poured water over a portion of his hand but did not dry it, and then he poured water over the remainder of his hand while the first portion was still wet with his Netilat Yadayim, it's valid, and he must now say the Beracha al Netilat Yadayim. Okay, a practical application of this halacha is when someone has no container from which to pour the water in his hands, other than a soft drink bottle. So although the water comes out in spurts, wetting a portion of the hand each time, all the spurts count together since the person does not dry his hand until after pouring the water on the entire hand. Yeah, it's like a water bottle. Yeah. So he says, see above in the footnote, Siman 159.4. If you just look in the footnote, he just says, right, what happens if you do it in stages? He said, Maran ruled in Shulchan Aruch that if someone poured water on part of the hand, then poured water on the rest of his hand, while it's still moist, he fulfilled the mitzvah Netilat Yadayim. This follows the ruling of the Rambam. Again, the Avad, however, ruled that it's insufficient. The Maran the Bet Yosef quotes Rabbeinu Shimshon and Rabbeinu Asher that they're not sure. And then Maran commented that he says there's no difference of the doubt. He says basically he's going like the Rambam, right? Again, the Mishnah Berurah and other Achronim overruled stringently based on the Taz. That's why, by the way, you'll see many times Ashkenazim will come and they'll dry their hands 20 times, right, before actually doing the Netilat Yadayim. Again, this is all based upon, right, the Taz and the Mishnah Berurah, which is based upon the Ravad and everybody knew, like Maran. The Ben Ish Chai ruled leniently, following Maran's decision. Maran the Rishon LeZion added that whoever performs the mitzvah in this manner must also say the Beracha and Netilat Yadayim, being that Maran ruled leniently. The Halacha Berurah summed it up, stating that Ashkenazic Jews must follow the stringent ruling of the Achronim, right, while Sephardic Jews must follow the lenient ruling and say the Beracha. As explained above, Halacha number 2 says, as explained above in Siman 158, it's technically sufficient to pour the water over the fingers up to where connected to the palm. Accordingly, the Halacha of Netilat Yadayim in stages described in the previous Halacha is only if it's going to be part of the fingers. So we already explained that even before reading this Halacha. That's the way that we explained it. And then you pour water on the rest. If he had poured water over his fingers completely the first time around, and then again over the palm, right, he says it's not considered a case of Netilat Yadayim in stages at all, because he already did the mitzvah. Meaning, when we said stages, it has to be that's why I told you the knuckles. You remember I told you the knuckles, right? Why? Because if you're going to tell me that you actually did the full fingers, right? So therefore, what happens is you already did Netilat Yadayim. You're right. The lechatchila that we said is that you always do it with the palm, right, and the full hand. But technically speaking, if you did only the fingers, you already did chuvah. So here, when we talked about in stages, it meant in stages of, right, the knuckles, not the full fingers. Nevertheless, if he is not yet recited the bracha, he should dry his hands, right? Again, it's in brackets. Perform the Netilat Yadayim again, this time pouring the water over his entire hand at once, right? In deference to the poskim rule that the halacha demands that one pour the hands over the entire hand until the wrist. In the Hebrew, he does not have dry the hands. I don't know why Hebrew did bring it down. The quotes what he told Shuv Yadav, right? Okay, fine. I'm not sure exactly why here he put again. He put it in brackets. I think it's just for the Ashkenazim, obviously, but that's why he did it. Okay, so we can.